It's Ashleigh from Sweet Dreams Bake Shop, and welcome to Fail Friday. Today, I'm going to be showing you how to avoid a fail by making sure you're ahead of the game. Tip number 1, make your dough ahead of time in bulk. Pretty much any sugar cookie recipe can be made ahead of time. All you have to do is make sure that you section it off into discs. The smaller the better in my opinion, so that it's easier to roll out and takes less time to thaw. Cover it in plastic wrap and then stick it into your freezer, and it should honestly last you for up to 3 months, no problem. Once you are ready to roll out your dough, you don't actually have to knead it again or anything. The dough should be warm enough so that you can just easily roll it out. Overworking the gluten in your dough is really going to cause it to be difficult to cut out your cookies properly because your dough is just going to snap back. So it's super important you don't overwork it so you can save time. Tip number 3, invest in multiple baking pans. Now, I am the queen of trying to be frugal, but honestly, if you just invest in some baking pans, which are fairly cheap, you're going to save yourself a lot of headache. Now, even if your oven can't accommodate a lot of baking pans at once, having lots of baking pans allows you to cut out all your sugar cookies, and then you can stack them in the fridge and then have them ready to go when your oven is ready. Tip number 4, I always prepare my piping bags while I'm waiting for my cookies to cool. So you can obviously wait until your cookies are fully cooled and do this, or if you freeze your cookies beforehand pre-cut out, then you might not have to do this, but this is just the order that I usually do things in. Tip number 5, lay cookies out in order. So the reason that I say this is because if you have them all over the place, sometimes it's just hard for my brain to recognize what it is that I'm supposed to be doing. I kind of like doing things in an assembly line order. So this is why I really make sure that I lay out my cookies in a way that's going to make sense for me. Case in point, I made sure that I put all of my cupcake cookies together. This also makes it easier as well if you're planning on airbrushing things all the same color or with all the same pattern. Tip number 6, plan out order of decorating events. This is really important if you're doing cookies that are a little bit more complicated or have a little bit more to them. Now this really does come with practice. For example, if you're making something that is airbrushed, you have to think about which part is going to get airbrushed first. Do I need to airbrush this section first and then ice, or do I need to do it the other way around? This is all about saving time as well. So if you are doing a lot of orders at once, you might say to yourself, okay, I'm going to ice the base of these cookies first, and then I'm going to move on to a cake order that I'm doing. Tip number 7, use your dehydrator to speed drying time. Now I've done a specific video on this. If you want to check it out, I will throw the link up there. Now, if you have never used a dehydrator before, like I didn't for the past, 9 years, then you've been missing out, and so have I. But it's all good because you're going to save a bunch of time. In short, using your dehydrator is going to dry those surfaces super quickly. Tip number 8, have backup decorations on hand. Now this could be a number of different things. It could be something that you've made yourself with royal icing that's very generic, for example, a heart or some circles. If you want to learn how to do that, you can go ahead and check out my video. I'll throw that up right in the right-hand corner. Or it could just be sprinkles that you've bought from the store. Having things on hand that you can add really quickly without any extra preparation is sometimes needed to cover up things like craters, for example. Tip number 9, plan for twice the amount of estimated time that you think it's going to take to finish your cookies. Now, unless you're going to be left completely alone for a number of hours, then it's really hard to estimate how long something will actually take you. I always have to take into account that if you're a home baker, then you might have kids or a husband or something else that you need to do before you can actually finish all of your cookies. So that's why I always allot for double the amount of time I think it's actually going to take me. Tip number 10, make ahead and freeze. So I always knew that you could freeze cutout sugar cookies, but I had no idea until recently that you could actually freeze cookies that were fully decorated like this. I was always afraid of the dye bleeding through until I picked up my dehydrator trick, which has stopped that from happening. In my experience, when you freeze decorated sugar cookies, it's a really simple process. You just lay them nice and flat in a container, and then you put a piece of parchment between layers. When you're ready to use them, you just take it out of the freezer and let them fully thaw for at least 30 minutes or so before you take them out of the container. If you take them out before then, they tend to get a little bit wet and soggy. Freezing cookies not only saves you time, but it actually makes the cookie a little bit softer as well, which I actually prefer. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so you can be part of the Sweetie Fam. Right now I'm uploading daily, so make sure you hit that notification bell so you know when I upload. And if you have a baking fail that needs fixing, comment down below and it could be fixed by next Friday. Bye!